rate, ratio, and
Ji, Mariam.
proportion.
Very good. What we have covered so far, starting with the basics or the basic concepts of epidemiology that we all covered under the major heading of Introduction to Epidemiology. Then we talked about measures of disease frequency, in which we did talk about rate, ratios, and proportions. Then after that, we uh, we took rates first, and then we talked about the which rates morbidity measures, right? So in
Yes.
morbidity measures, we talked about incidence and prevalence. So as
Prevalence.
far as incidence was concerned, we did talk about different types of incidence, that what incidence is, how do they differ from each other, what are the special incidence rates. Now today, inshallah, we'll take a start with special incidence rates. And then we did talk about prevalence also. And we had exercise also as far as numericals are concerned. And I've kept two numericals for today also that I'm going to take in the second half of today's session. We'll be having first 40 minutes meeting covering the special incidence rates like attack rates and secondary attack rates. Now, after covering these two concepts, I'll take you back onto a very important, concept as far as calculation of different incidences are concerned, because this I have taken from pool of my questions, and they are very important, and I would urge all of you to look into that and try to solve it. And obviously, I'll be here with you to help you out in getting it done if you get stuck at any point. Okay. Now, before taking a start again, I would like to take you back because we had, a couple of weeks in between. So probably we intend to forget few of the concepts because it's volatile and very easily we forget our core concepts also. Now, as far as introduction to epidemiology was concerned, the major concept was related to all the key terms which are part of our epidemiology. And we did talk about our basic triads of epidemiology: agent, host, environmental. We did talk about distribution measures in terms of time, place, and person, frequency measures in terms of rate, ratios, and proportions, and determinants, as I said, agent, host, and environmental. And then we took each and every of that triangle separately and we discussed it in detail, right? Then we talked about epidemic. Then we talked about that what different kinds of epidemics are there, which epidemic curves are there, what are the secular trends of the diseases, what are the seasonal trends, what are the, how an epidemic progresses. Then we saw a diagrammatic view that how an endemic becomes an epidemic and how that epidemic transforms into a pandemic depending upon the environmental and other conducive factors which are there for the agent to convert all these or to shift all these disease status in the community. And then we did talk about spectrum of illness, if you remember, in which we divide different phases of illness from the preclinical illness to latent illness, and then we did talk about the chronicity of the illness. Then we talked about subclinical state of the illness, and we said that in that the carrier status, we did talk about carrier status also in that. Okay? Then we talked about chain of infection, and then in which we categorically said that what are different reservoir and source of the infection which are there. And then we talked about different modes of transmission of the disease, and then we talked about the susceptible host also, and in that susceptible host basically we covered cases and carriers. Okay. Now, with all this background that we have covered so far, where we left was the measures of disease frequency, and in those measures we were talking about morbidity measures and incidence and prevalence. Okay. Now, as far as incidence is concerned, we said that we have incidence density, and we have which other incidence we have? Anybody who can tell me?
Cumulative incidence.
Cumulative incidence.
Very well done.
And proportion as well.
Very good. We have cumulative incidence and we have incidence density. Now, can somebody tell me that what are the alternative terms for these two incidences?
Ma'am, incident proportion for cumulative incidence and incidence
Very well done. Very good.
incidence
Very good.
density for incidence rate.
Very good, Mariam. I hope and I think that you have been going through the notes and through lectures that we have covered. So that is wonderful. So incidence density is basically incidence rate, and cumulative incidence is basically incidence proportion also. Okay, and I've told you this thing earlier also that examiners, just for the sake of checking the concept of examinees, they intend to write search terms with which probably examinees are not very much familiar with, and they get a little confused. So, but you should be crystal clear in this that if examiner is asking you about incidence proportion, so you should be pretty sure that what is incidence proportion. This doesn't mean that you just calculate something and you multiply it with 100, that would be your incidence proportion. Incidence proportion is cumulative incidence. And what is the key difference? Why I'm taking you back into that concept? Because today's lecture is built on this concept. Okay, why we consider it as an incidence proportion? Because remember, the key element of proportion is that we take our numerator from the denominator. Denominator includes the whole, and part of that whole, since cumulative incidence is basically in the new cases that are taken from the whole. So that's why the synonym that is used for cumulative incidence is incidence proportion, right? Now, similarly, for incidence density, as I said earlier, that we have what's the difference between these two? It's the denominator. We take person time in incidence density, and we take total population at risk in incidence proportion, right? So this is just to give you a fresh, overview of both of these incidences, because we are going to talk about this in a little while in the form of a numerical, and I'll be sharing with you the common mistakes that generally students do while in attempting such questions. Where do they, where do they make mistake in covering that? Okay. Now, taking you to the presentation, I'm going to share my slide with you. Let me just share my screen with you, and I'll be taking up you to the very important concept that is a diagram. Now, I hope everyone can see this, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Now, I told you that attack rate and secondary attack rates, they are the special incidences rate. Now, the moment we say attack rate, so what comes in your mind?
Ma'am, any outbreak?
Attack rate is basically, it is generally considered in a very sudden, a point source epidemic. And the most common attack rates which are calculated, they are basically foodborne diseases, food specific attack rates, right? Now, for food specific attack rates, how do we basically do? Now, before going into that, now who is the primary case basically? Primary case is the first individual who acquires the disease from some exposure is known as a primary case. So obviously, if somebody is primary, anybody who is going to get disease after exposure to the primary case is going to be labeled as secondary case. Got it? The difference between primary case and secondary case? Anybody who acquires the infection first after having some exposure is termed as primary case, right? Now, anybody who acquires the disease after exposure to the primary case is known as secondary case. So, keeping this in mind, we are going to calculate attack rate and secondary attack rate, and I'll be telling you briefly that how do they differ from each other as far as the calculations are concerned. But both of them, they have been derived from epidemic, foodborne epidemics. Generally, this attack rates, right? So we can call it as primary attack rate, or they are called as attack rates. Okay. Now, there is one. So, as I said, primary case is the first individual or the person who acquires disease after exposure to some agent or to some contaminated food or things, stuff like that. Now, there is another case in epidemiology that is known as an index case. Anybody who is familiar that what is that index case? If this is primary, now index also carries somewhat similar notion, index. So any idea that you might have regarding index case, or any wise guess about that?
Ma'am, any case which is the first one to report?
Yes, who is this? I'm unable to see the names actually.
Dr. Mariam Munawar.
Maryam Munafir, you're so right. Between anybody who is diseased and he is the first one who comes under the notice of a healthcare professional or healthcare authority, that is labeled or that is termed as an index case. The first person who comes under the limelight with the disease, right? So that is known as an index case. Okay. Now, here in this slide, I'm sure you all can see that secondary attack rate is the attack rate in susceptible people who have been exposed to a primary case. Got it? People who are susceptible. Now, in epidemiology, once we say that anybody who is susceptible, what does this mean? Anybody who is not immunized in this particular case, right? Anybody who is susceptible for getting it. Obviously, susceptibilities are many. Susceptibilities are like vulnerabilities. That who is going to be vulnerable. So one of the topmost vulnerability is that if somebody, especially for diseases for which we have vaccinations, communicable diseases. So if somebody develops disease after exposure to the primary case, so that is termed as a secondary attack rate, right? Now, the most common example that is taken for secondary attack rate is measles or chickenpox. Now, these are the diseases which are contagious and they have high communicability. So, secondary attack rate, it gives us a very important measure of person-to-person transmission of the disease. So, if secondary attack rate is very high, so this means it has got maximum communicability or transmission from primary case to the secondary cases, right? So it moves like a ripple that we have a starting point, starting origin in the middle, and the way ripples are created from that primary source in the water. So similarly, how the disease is spreading from that primary source, right? So that is how I'll just make you understand by giving you an example also. Now, these are the formulas. Now, see, if you got the concept, then writing formulas shouldn't be an issue for you. Why? Because as we said, that number of people at risk in whom a certain illness develops divided by total number of people at risk. Right? Now, what does this mean? That number of people at risk in whom a certain illness develops divided by total number of people at risk. Can you just tell me that whom we are going to write down in the numerator? Considering the example of a foodborne epidemic or outbreak in a community.
Diseased one.
Diseased ones, very good. Number of people at risk they were at risk and they developed the disease also, right? And in the denominator, it is written total number of people at risk. This means the total number of individuals who ate that particular food, right? Who ate that. This means the risk was shared by everybody. Who were at risk? All those who ate that particular food, right? Now, from all those who were at risk because they ate that particular food, how many of these at-risk individuals, they are going to develop the disease, right? So this is basically your attack rate. Now, let me just find one very good, example for getting this. Say, for example, if you all can write down, let me just, I think it's not open with me. So you just write down that in a picnic, 99 people ate 99 people ate tomato salad. 33 of them, they developed the disease. So if I asked you to calculate attack rate, so how would we calculate that?
Ma'am, 33.
You all got my question? In the picnic?
Yes, ma'am.
99 individuals, 99 people
over 99.
33 of them. It's a very, very famous university question. It generally how would we calculate that?
And 33 divided
And 33 divided by 99.
Very well done. 33 divided by 99 multiplied by
100, ma'am.
500.
See if anybody of you can do that.
Ma'am, 33.
Calculate it and with proper interpretation. You know, any calculation without interpretation is incomplete. With interpretation, so you just tell me that what is your answer, so I'll let you know how would you interpret.
Ma'am, the answer is
33.3.
It is how much? 33 divided by 99. It comes out to be almost how much?
33.3.
33 something, right? Isn't it?
33. Yes, ma'am.
So if we
Yes, ma'am.
it as 33%, if we multiply it with 100, so how are we going to interpret that? You will tell me. Any idea? Just try it.
maybe, ma'am, do we say that out of 100, 33 people they got that disease or something?
Yeah, out of 100 individuals who ate that particular food, 33 developed the disease and become primary cases, right? Or the attack rate or the primary attack rate was 33, like out of 100. If 100 individuals, they would have eaten that particular food, 33 of them, they would end up into disease. So that is basically the interpretation of attack rate. Now, this much individuals ate that particular food, or if you are multiplying it with thousands, so we say that out of 1,000 individuals who ate that food, this much individuals they will develop disease, right? Or they develop the disease as primary case. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now coming on to secondary attack rate in family members of the index case, as I said, or the primary cases. Now, for this particular secondary attack rate, let me just I'll have to take you to an example from my. Let me just. Okay. Now, all of you can hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Please,
Yes,
please
ma'am.
write it down with you. In a 6-member family, so this is the numerical that generally we do for understanding secondary attack rate. In a 6-member family, two parents, in bracket you are going to write down already immune, have 4 children.
Ma'am, please repeat it.
Who are susceptible to measles. I'll repeat it all, okay? In a 6-member family, 2 parents, already immune, have 4 children who are susceptible to measles. Right? The youngest 16 months child, develops measles, and within a couple of days, 2 more children develop measles. And within a couple of days, 2 more children developed measles. Right? Okay, I'm repeating it for all of you. In a 6-member family, 2 parents already immune have 4 children who are susceptible to measles. The youngest 16-month child develops measles, and within a couple of days, 2 more children develop measles. Now, at times what happens, now I am back in my screen, okay? Now what happens generally, questions they come in exam like this, and they have not mentioned in a clear-cut way that which particular measure of disease frequency you are supposed to calculate in this, okay? Or rather they ask you that which particular measure of disease frequency you will calculate for this particular situation. Now, whenever they are telling you about, or they are sharing a scenario in which they are telling you that this child develops a primary case, and then after exposure to this much number of more children or more people that develop the disease, this means examiner is talking about secondary attack rate. Remember this thing, right? Now, what is the catch in this question? See, it's a 6-member family in which they have mentioned that 2 are the parents, right? And 4 are the children. Now, 2 parents are already immune. This means that they are not susceptible.
Not on risk.
They are not at risk. They are going to be excluded because it's an attack rate. Definitely, we are going to put anyone who is at risk in the denominator, right? So, since they are immune, so they are not at risk. So, they are not susceptible, okay? Number 1. Now, what is left? 4 children. Now, what happens in these 4 children? They have shared that 16 months child develops measles, right? And after a couple of weeks, now see, they are telling you about a period of incubation period. They are giving you a notion that there was an incubation probably. So after exposure to that 16 months old child who develops measles, how many of his siblings they have developed measles? 2 of them, right? 2 more children, they develop measles, right? So this means the primary case was 1, right? And so how many children they were exposed to that primary case? They were 3, because the first child was the primary case. Now remember one thing, in secondary attack rate, primary case is going to be excluded from the numerator and denominator both. Primary case has got nothing to do, and immune people, they have got nothing to do for the calculation of secondary attack rate, okay? So how many children they were left susceptible who had an exposure to primary case? They were 3. So 3 is going to be written in the denominator, right? So out of these 3 children who were exposed to the primary case, how many of them they developed measles? 2 of them. Very 2 of them. So what do we have in numerator? 2. And what do we have in denominator? 3. So the equation that is built on the basis of this data that is provided to us is going to be 2 by 3. And how are we going to, at times this question comes for 10 marks. So what is the reason behind giving this much number of marks? So they just want to see that are you capable of putting all these things in an order? So first you will see that how many family members are there sex. How many of them they are immune in this family? 2. Who is the primary case? At times primary cases they are in hundreds. It's not always, data is not going to be always that simple. At times they give us a big data. They might say that in a 5,000 population, a vaccination campaign was run, and say for example if they say that 1,500 individuals they were vaccinated for typhoid vaccine, say for example. Are you with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Now, see, they provide you a big data. They say that okay, it's a 5,000 population area in which a vaccination campaign was run, say for example, against any communicable disease that might be communicable, and XYZ. So they say that 1,500 individuals they were vaccinated. And then what happens is they say that in year 2020 there was an outbreak, or they might say that 200, or they can say that 500 individuals they developed disease in this particular population. Now, then they would say that after, say for example, depending upon the incubation period of that particular illness, they may say that after 2 weeks or after 4 weeks time period, 600 more cases of similar illness develop. So what they are trying to tell you, the whole story that they have created, they have just created to get an idea or to give you an idea that the examiner is trying to ask about secondary attack rate. See, they had primary cases, those who first developed the disease, and those who were exposed to those cases, they further developed their disease afterwards after finishing up their incubation period. So at times such big data and numbers they're also given. But this is the best example to make you understand, like in a 6-member family, two parents who are immune and four children are there. So one child develops the measles and two more children develop the measles after 2 weeks. So what is going to be the secondary attack rate? So how do we calculate? I've told you that susceptible individuals, they are removed right away from the calculation because they are not at risk, they are not susceptible. So, how many kids are left for those who are susceptible for any of the disease? Say, for example, for in this particular situation, it's measles. So, one child develops the disease, so that child becomes the index case or the first case, primary case. So, what happens that primary case is now going to be excluded from numerator and denominator. So, how many children they are at risk for becoming secondary cases? They are three. So three exposed individuals, they are going to be written in the denominator because they are now at risk of becoming secondary cases. Now, out of these who were exposed, how many of them they developed the disease? They are going to be written in the numerator, right? So that is how we take out our data for writing our equation for numerator and denominator. So if any one of you can calculate it, I'll be more than happy to know, and then I'll let you know that how are we going to interpret this.
Ma'am, 66.6.
Okay, who is this? Please tell me your name also.
Mariam Amir, ma'am.
Mariam, very well done. This is 66.7%.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Yes.
any one of you, what do you think? How should we give interpretation? Because we have been talking about interpretation so far. So, what do you think? We have now Mariam has multiplied it with 100, so it's a secondary attack rate, and secondary attack rates are generally taken in if we multiply it with 100, so this means it's a proportion or a percentage, or if you say that out of, who will interpret this? Very interpretation is very interesting in secondary attack rate, or at least you should try. How should we interpret secondary attack rate?
Then out of 100 individuals, 66% have secondary disease.
Yeah,
Ma'am,
no simple the way you have to, and I wish this could have been like that, but it's a
Ma'am?
little more details need to be added. Yeah, who is this?
ma'am, this is Shabir.
Please, Shubhi, go ahead.
It जो इसकी interpretation है, that is like, for example, in 100 people who are at risk,
Yeah, those who are at risk
66%
means they out of 100
they are
individuals
susceptible.
exposed to primary
To-
case.
Yes. Exposed to primary case, got that developed the disease.
66.7 will develop the disease and they will become secondary cases. This is how we interpret our secondary attack rate. How do we interpret? Like in this particular situation, we have taken it as 100. This could have been even 1,000 also. So in that particular case, we could have said that out of 1,000 individuals exposed to primary case, right? Now, or in this were out of 100 individuals exposed to primary case, 66.7 are going to develop the disease after exposure and they are going to be our secondary cases, right? So this is how we interpret our secondary attack. I hope there is no confusion in it. If there is any query, you can please ask me.
Ma'am,
We're left with 4 minutes for this meeting, and once it is finished, then I'll take another start. And you're all requested to log in again. जी.
मैम
Hmm.
मैम इंटरप्रिटेशन प्लीज रिपीट कर दें इसकी.
Yeah, sure. Out of 100 individuals exposed to primary case, 66.7, or you can round it off also, you can say 67, or if you are comfortable in writing the exact number, you can write it as it is. 66.7 individuals will develop the disease and will become secondary cases.
ma'am,
Yes.
मैम जो प्राइमरी अटैक रेट है उसमें डिनोमिनेटर में 4
A
आएगा
bit
या
louder, but I can't hear you properly. Please, a little louder.
मैम जो प्राइमरी अटैक रेट है इस केस में तो उसमें हमारे पास डिनोमिनेटर में क्या आएगा 4 या 3?
3. I told you that primary case is going to be subtracted from numerator and denominator both. They are not going. Once we are talking about secondary attack rate, primary cases are going to be excluded from numerator and denominator both.
मैम सेकेंडरी रेट में तो 3 आएगा
They are
मैम
going to be the source, they are going to be the exposure for others to develop the disease. Right? This was the definition of secondary case also. That anybody who develops the disease after exposure to the primary case, right? So obviously primary case has got nothing to do with the calculation of secondary attack. So obviously it is there as the starting point. It is going to provide exposure, it is going to provide a source or infection for the secondary cases, but the primary case is going to be excluded or subtracted from the numerator and denominator. Okay. In actual, we had 4 children. So the first child who develops the disease is going to be the primary case, right? So after exposure to primary, how many of them had exposure now? Three of them who were exposed to the primary case, right? So out of these three, this 3 becomes your denominator. Out of these 3, how many of them they develop the disease? 2 of them, right? So these 2 are going to be your numerator. They are the secondary cases, right? New secondary cases. That's why it's a special incidence rate.
मैम
Okay.
मैम अगर इसी में हमने प्राइमरी अटैक रेट को करना हो
Yes.
तो
then
उसमें
you-
डिनोमिनेटर क्या आएगा फिर 3 या
1 divided by 4.
ओके मैम
Okay. But then the statement and the scenario would have been totally a little different, right? We are having less than, it's like almost 1 minute is left. So, any questions regarding this? Basically, secondary attack rate is calculated for the communicable diseases because it gives us a nice, idea or information about the communicability or the transmission of the disease because it is calculated for contagious or communicable diseases. That person to person transmission of the disease, whether it is highly contagious, highly communicable disease or not. And it is generally not calculated for non infectious disease. So we can say that this could be a disadvantage for the secondary attack rate. But the biggest advantage that we can get from secondary attack rate is that it provides us a person to person transmission of the disease for the infectious diseases. Okay?
मैम इंटरप्रिटेशन एक बार बताएं
Sorry?
मैम एक बार इंटरप्रिटेशन रिपीट करें out of 100 individual exposed to primary cases
Yes,
67 are
they will develop the disease. Out of those 100 who are exposed to the primary case, 66.7 will develop the disease and would be labeled or would be termed as Okay, so we are all back. I think. Okay, now I'm going to click recording again, right? Okay, fine. Now, today we are done with our incidences or our measures of morbidity, right? They were incidence and prevalence. Till attack rate and secondary attack rate, I told you earlier also that these are the two which were left earlier. So we have covered both of them today. And before coming on to the measures of mortality, I just want all of you to have a little practice of this, calculation. Let me just share my screen and take you to uh, this paper. My Word document is not showing up. Let me just see this. Can you all see this?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, good enough. Let me just take you to a very, interesting thing that is. Okay, now see, how are you going to get this question done? So please do this and tell me, or let's see who is going to do it first. This is going to give a quick wrap up of our cumulative incidence and incidence density that we have been talking about. You all can see that?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
You can't? How
No,
come?
you see it
Previously you were able to see that, isn't it?
No, ma'am.
Why is it paused? It's coming as paused. I didn't pause it. Okay. Let me. Now can you see that?
No,
I think there
No,
is. Okay. Okay.
no, ma'am.
I can always, tell you about. So please write it down that in 2009 to 2015, I hope you all sit with paper and register with you.
Yes, ma'am.
In 2009 to 2015, 44,000, sorry, 4,423. What I've said,
423.
4,423 new cases of AIDS were reported in United States. Got it? In 2009 to 2015, 4,423 new cases of AIDS were reported in United States. The estimated mid-year population of US was approximately the estimated mid-year population of US was approximately it's just an approximate, that they have told us. That is 90. You just write down 90,894. 90,894. Okay. Now the question is calculate the incidence rate and incidence proportion for AIDS in US? Calculate the incidence rate and incidence proportion for AIDS for US, of AIDS for US population. I'm going to repeat it again quickly. In 2009 to 2015, 4,423 new cases of AIDS were reported in the United States. The estimated mid-year population of US was approximately 90,8094. Calculate the incidence rate and incidence proportion for AIDS in US population. So now please take your time and do it.
Total percentile of observation. It is a equation of division accumulation disease to measures of past disease. ठीक है so basically अपने numerator numerator से denominator में जो sum of the different terms है estimated mid-year population was 190. Incidence rate ranges new cases total population approximately 90,094 into 1,000. Basically 4.87. 4.87
I hope you're all doing that.
new cases.
If you get stuck at any point, you can ask me, and let's see who is going to do it first. It's a kind of a quiz that I kept for the second half of our session, and because with this we'll conclude our morbidity measures and we'll move on to our mortality measures. Okay.
Incidence density, the rate and incidence of proportion. Incidence proportion to the rate of high-risk, basically high-risk population over mid-year. Incidence proportion is cumulative incidence now. 28 per thousand. Number of people who get the disease, number of people free of the disease. Number of people free of the disease. Number of people who get the disease, number of people who are free from the disease. Free from the disease. These are the people who are free from the disease.
Okay. Anyone who might have done this? Hello.
मैम सबसे पहले तो क्यूमुलेटिव इंसिडेंस होगा, उसमें हमारे पास न्यूमरेटर में 4,423 और मैम डिनोमिनेटर में मिड ईयर पॉपुलेशन एट रिस्क comes.
Okay. So you're all trying, right? So please do it and write down the interpretations also. Can you all share your screens with me? One by one, like anybody who is done with it. So you can always show up your, your numericals, your calculations to me. I hope everyone is trying. You're not waiting for somebody to come up with the answer. I hope all of you are trying.
Yes, ma'am.
Good,
Yes, ma'am.
good. It's very important because I'm going to share with you few of the common mistakes which are linked with such questions that generally students they make while and they just they lose their marks in these silly mistakes. So we'll just talk about those things because these are the questions which are definitely going to come. Incidence, densities, and rates, they are definitely going to come in one way or the other.
Ma'am, I've taken out incidence rate. I don't know if the answer
Hey,
is correct.
doctor, who's a bit louder today? I can't hear you properly.
Ma'am, I've taken out incidence rate, but I don't know if the answer is correct. But
Okay,
I've
no,
tried.
no, not an issue. You just share with me, or if you just want to give few more minutes to rest of the
Sure,
class,
sure,
if they
sure.
also come up, because I think more. You just raised your hand
Okay.
if you are done with it.
Okay.
All of you, I would urge you to raise your hands. Okay, Iraj is done. Rouge is also, I guess, she's done with both incidence rates and proportions, both, right? Okay, good.
Yes.
Bakht is also done. So just raise your hand so that I get an idea that how many of you were able to comprehend this question. Understanding of the question is very important. How can you solve it till the time you don't really get it in a proper way? Understand the question first and then try to solve it. So two of you are done with this. So let me just give few more minutes, but this is very important. Good. Mariam is also done.
Mm,
Now, see, we have 3 minutes to 4 o'clock. So at four, I'll be asking you that what do you think? How you might have taken that question? What did you understand from that question? Very good. Mariam, Bakht, and Rees, they are all three. They are done with this. Who else is going to do that? Sadaf is also done. Good. Mariam Ishaq is also done. Mariam Munawar is done. Very well done. Now let's see how you have taken it up. So we have 2 minutes to go. 2 more minutes to go. Mariam Ishaq is also done. Good girl. Good. Dr. Abhinish is also done. Hadia is also done. Good. Kiran is also done good. None of the male member of the meeting has, raised the hand. Okay, fine. Now coming, so our time is up. So at 4, I said that I'll be taking your feedback on that. So who would like to tell me first that G. Mariam Chaudhary? G. Mariam, please go ahead with your calculation.
Can you hear me?
G, please tell me first that which particular measure you are telling us and how did you calculate that?
Ma'am, I'm not sure if it's correct, but
No issues. I'm here to correct if it is wrong. Don't you worry about that.
okay, for incidence rate, I calculated by 4,423 divided by the actual population, that was 908,904, by multiplying by its 6. So my answer came 8.1%. I'm not sure it's correct or not.
Okay. So how did you do that, Mariam?
Uh, what-
Ji, Mariam.
yes,
Mariam
ma'am.
Ahmed. Mariam Ahmed. Yeah, because I've taken your take. So, okay. Now let me just ask other members who raised their hands that how did they calculate that? Ji, Mariam Ahmed.
Yes, ma'am. My answer was the same 8.11 new cases of disease per 100,000 population per year for incidence rate.
Okay. Ji, Hadia Nawabi.
Ma'am, in incidence rate, I also considered the time duration.
Very well
Like
done. I'm so
7
happy
years
to hear.
of,
Yeah, 7 years.
like 7 years multiplied by population
Yeah,
at risk.
absolutely. I'm so glad to hear that you remember that particular key and you didn't miss that because I remember one of the exam in which students they left this part and they said that person time was not given to us. So I guess you're all prepared. So far, or at least those of you who could comprehend that, I'm so happy to see that all raised hands, and I'm sure all of you must have done this in a way, the way Mariam Amir, Mariam Chaudhary, and they have told me. So numerator is going to stay the same. It is
Yes,
going to
ma'am.
be your numerator 4,432 new cases of AIDS which occurred in this time duration of 2009 to 2015. That is going, so that was the first principle, and I'm so happy that you remembered that. So the second principle is that we know that incidence density is incidence rate, and it has got nothing to do with mid-year population till the time it is not multiplied, till the time is not taken into consideration. So, how much time? So they were like, Ji, we were not given person time, and I was like surprised that few of those who were talking like that. I said that this means that their concepts are not clear. They couldn't just comprehend it. They couldn't just take out. So you should be able to take out person time if it is not given, and it will not be given in most of the cases in exams. They are not generally given, so you need to dig out yourself. So that is wonderful. Incidence proportion is generally very simple to calculate. What you need to do, you just write down the new cases that they have mentioned in numerator, and in denominator, whatever estimated mid-year population they have given, straight away you are going to write down in your denominator. So you will calculate that, you will multiply it with the multiplier. And please, so if this could have been a bigger population, though, so you need to choose a bigger multiplier also. So another biggest mistake that students
Yes,
they
ma'am.
commit, that they don't really go ahead of 1,000 or 100. They think that something wrong will happen if they will take 10,000 or 100,000 or 10 million. I told you that most of the international parameters or frequency measures they have bigger multipliers.
Yes, ma'am.
100,000
100,000.
or 10 millions. Just what's the purpose? If we are not choosing a bigger multiplier and we are unable to convert our decimal fraction into a whole number, then what is the purpose of giving it a multiplier? Right? So this, remember, if your numerator is very small, your denominator is going to be big in this case. Once you are going to multiply an estimated media population with 9 or 6, whatever time duration it is, so obviously it is going to be multiplied, it is going to be big. So you need to choose a big multiplier also to convert it into a whole number, right? And then coming on to the incidence book. Now, I hope everyone is clear, all those who were unable to do that. And it's okay at this particular moment. You can ask me 100 times that what is that is the purpose of doing these exercises also. That once you get those questions in exam or you happen to see any such, even when once we were in this particular stage, so if we were not, we had no such experience of no comprehending such questions, so they used to give us a big surprise that how are we going to do that. So our concept needs to be very, very clear about that. That the concept is that in incidence proportion, we are going to have median population estimated in the denominator, and in incidence rate or density, we are going to have a person time. If person time is not given, so whatever population is given, we are going to multiply it with the estimated time frame that they have given. So then that is going to be person time in years. Okay. Now, we have Dr. Riaz Ali Khan. Riaz. Gee, Dr. Saab, can you just tell me how did you calculate your cumulative incidence? Or do we have cumulative incidence in this statement, in this particular numerical? Gee, Dr. Saab? Can you hear me, Dr. Riaz? Yes. I think he is not with us, so we are not going to mark him present. Ruj, are you with me, Bete?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you taking attendance also?
Yes, ma'am. I have taken the screenshots.
Yeah. So all those who are not going to respond to my voice, so you are going to mark them absent. This means that they have just logged into or they have just joined my meeting, but because since I can't really see all of you. Or one more thing that I can do is that I just asked you to turn on your videos, and obviously I am also going to turn on my video. It's not a big deal for me at all. So I think that would serve the purpose. If you won't respond to my call, this means that you are not physically present with me, okay? So Riaz is going to be absent from today's session. Gee, do we have Faraz? Faraz, did I ask you to calculate cumulative incidence? Yes. Yes. Can you hear me properly, Faraz? Yes. Am I audible to you? Yeah. So what do you think? Did I ask you to calculate cumulative incidence also? Yes. Gee, Dr. Inayat, what do you think?
Ma'am. Assalamualaikum.
Gee, Assalamualaikum. Good to hear you. So did I ask you to calculate cumulative incidence also in this numerical?
Ma'am, incidence proportion का पूछा है आपने?
Yes.
So
what it is?
इसके लिए
What is the other term for it? Yes.
Ma'am, the number of new cases among the population जो है during period time उसका जो denominator है population at risk बनती है, तो मैम उसमें से जो affected हैं वो minus करेंगे, उसमें से population at risk उसी से निकलेगी.
Thank you so much, Dr. Inayat, for coming up with this response, because this is one another most commonly done mistake, and I really wanted. So before coming on to this mistake, one thing that my question was that did I ask you to calculate cumulative incidence? So your answer, should have been yes, because incidence proportion is basically cumulative incidence, right? Number one thing. Now we shouldn't be forgetting this thing. Now, another point that you have mentioned, that for the calculation of incidence proportion, you said that new cases are going to be subtracted from the population at risk. So, how many of you, however, what do you think that do we need to calculate our cumulative incidence or incidence proportion like this?
Yes.
Yeah. So you think that we need to subtract new cases from the population at risk, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
In incident proportion, we have to subtract.
You have to. But if I ask you one more thing, and if you would like to answer me, that what was proportion? Do you remember that before coming on to these measures, we did talk about the basics of measures of disease frequency, that what is the rate, what is the ratio, what is the proportion? So proportion, what was the proportion, Harvard?
Number of new cases that was calculated by using a period time that was during which all of the individual in the population.
Yeah, but what is the
As
proportion? Yeah, see, if you
as a
have
risk of
10,
outcome.
you have covered, see, listen to my question, that if you have 10 pieces of pizza and you have eaten 3 of them, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So if I ask you that which proportion you have eaten, so how would you calculate that? Proportion.
Yes, ma'am.
How would you calculate? What is the proportion? What is that proportion?
I think
If you remember. Yeah, what is the proportion, Khabar? Any idea? Okay, no problem. Dr. Shabir is going to help you out. But please stay with me, and I don't mind if you turn on your mic. So you just stay with me. Dr. Shabir, please help him in understanding that if we have 10 slices of pizza and if you have taken or eaten 3 of them, so what would be the proportion?
Ma'am, incident proportion या cumulative incidence is calculated. It's called a proportion. So we take as numerator number of new cases of a disease over a number of mid-year population minus उसमें से करना है जो हमारे new cases है, number of new cases. So that would become a denominator multiplied by 100,000. So it becomes 489. My answer is.
Now why we need to subtract? See, what my question was, that if we have 10 slices of pizza and you have taken 3 of them, right? So what is the proportion basically? Proportion is apart from the whole. Whole
Yes,
is
ma'am.
not going to be
3
disturbed
divided
at
by-
all. Whole is not going to be disturbed. That is what is proportion. How am I going to write down if I have 10 slices of pizza and I've taken a chunk of it? So if I've split this into 10 pieces and I've taken 3, so that is going to be 3 by 10. I'm not going to write it as 3 by 10 minus 3. If I write it down as 3, the way you are telling me, 3 by 7, so this means that would have been a ratio, isn't it?
Okay. Now I got it. Okay.
Isn't it?
Yes, it is.
That would have been a ratio otherwise. So
Oh.
what we are talking about proportion, remember, proportion is apart
Part of it.
from the whole. So a part of that whole, we had at risk population. Dr. Khabar, are you with us? We have mid-year population, estimated mid-year population that you have written, right? So in that estimated mid-year population, you have taken all those individuals, those who are developing AIDS. They are the new cases from that particular population. So we are not going to subtract. Not I didn't tell you to subtract anything. I didn't use this word subtraction apart from from telling you to subtract primary case today in secondary attack rate. I didn't use that word of subtraction in incidence at all. We don't have to. But why I'm thanking you all for coming up with this thing, because this is the mistake that generally the students they make, those who have a little shaky, who are not 100% sure about it. So today is the time when we can clear this concept so that we don't really commit this mistake in our final exam. Now all these girls who have done this so nicely, so this means that they are all clear. And please, clarity comes with revision also, with going through the notes, whatever you are writing down with you, the notes that you are taking up during the session, and the presentations that I've already shared with you. So please go through them so that we just save ourselves from all these commonly made mistakes, because then we don't really get a good feeling that, oh, we knew this, why we did that, and all that. Okay? So remember why this incidence proportion is called a cumulative incidence, because we have taken at risk whole population. We are not going to take out any people out of that. Or we are not going to look at that how many individuals with whom we started up and how many of them are left at the end. These things we do cater in incidence density, but not in cumulative incidence, right? In cumulative incidence, whosoever was with us in the beginning, we assumed that same individuals are going to stay with us throughout the study period or throughout our follow-up time periods during which we are looking for the incidence of some particular illness. That is going to be, it's going to stay as your denominator. So incidence proportion was pretty simpler in this numerical, because both of them, they were mentioned. New cases were mentioned, estimated median population was mentioned. That's it. What was tricky in that, which is calculated by Mariam Chaudhary and Mariam Amir and Aruj, all these girls who have raised their hands, I'm sure they were able to pick it up. So the trick was with the calculation of person time, in which you had to multiply your median population with the time duration. Now, moving one step ahead. Now, you have made the calculations. Now, give me interpretation. Because I told you that if it's a 10 marks question, we have 2 marks for the interpretation. So, just tell me how much, after calculating, what is your incidence proportion and what is your incidence density. G. Bakgul, you have raised your hand. Just tell me, after calculating, how much is your incidence proportion?
Yes, ma'am. Cumulative incidence?
Yeah. Your answer, incidence
Ma'am,
proportion.
4.8 new cases of AIDS per 1,000 population at risk over a 6-year period.
Very well done, Bas. Now, see, I do remember that once we were talking about these interpretations, so Bas was a little confused that how are these interpretations are made and all that. But she just clarifies her concept at that particular moment, and now look at her clarity. She's so clear that this much number of new cases per 1,000 population, if she has taken a multiplier of 1,000 over a period of 6 years, this is your cumulative incidence or incidence proportion. I'm telling you again and again, I'm using these terms so that it's just to hammer it again and again so that you just get yourself familiarized with these terms, okay? So this is your cumulative incidence, right? Now, G, Dr. Fahim, can you tell me that how much is your incidence density? What you have calculated in your incidence density? Did you calculate,
Yes,
G,
ma'am.
Fahim? G?
Incidence rate or incidence proportion?
Yeah, have you calculated?
Yes, ma'am.
So please tell me what is your answer for incidence density?
Ma'am, it's 7 new cases of AIDS.
A bit louder, please, a bit louder.
It's 7 new cases.
Yeah, new cases.
New cases of AIDS per 10,000 person year.
Very good. How many new cases?
7.
7 new cases Per thousand population?
Per 10,000 person year.
Per 10,000 person years. Okay. So per 10,000 person years means what? If I asked you to split it up, give me interpretation in the other way that we discussed.
Over the period of 7 years.
No. Okay. Over a period of 7 years or over a period of 6 years, or whatever time frame you have taken, that is basically cumulative incidence. Gee, Dr. Shabir, raised your thumb. So
मैम इसकी जो इंटरप्रिटेशन है वो पर ईयर के हिसाब से करनी है बिकॉज
very well done. Very well done.
7%
So that would be
over per year because it's
per
a rate
year,
per year.
per 10,000 population per year. And that is one of the biggest difference between incidence density and cumulative incidence. See, if cumulative is telling you that 4.8 new cases per 1,000 population over a period of 6 years, they would say that this much number of new cases will occur over a 6 years time period. But incidence density will tell you that this much number of new cases per 1,000 individuals per year, or the way you have told us that 7 new cases per 10,000 person year. So that is, another way of giving the interpretation. So that was, it was pretty interesting to, share that example and to take your feedback on that. I hope there is no ambiguity in this concept and interpretation now. Or if anybody who is still not sure about it, so please you can ask me. Because, Ji Shanina,
Excuse me, ma'am.
yeah, please.
Ma'am, can we,
Shanina or Maryam Munawwar?
ma'am, it's me, Mariam Munawwar.
जी Maryam.
मैम इस पे हम मल्टीप्लायर ज्यादा कर सकते हैं मतलब I took like 100,000.
Absolutely, you can choose any. If this is arbitrary, you can choose any multiplier of your choice.
Okay.
Yes, and the multiplier should be such that should have the capability that after multiplying with that much number of digits, you need to get answer in whole numbers.
Yeah, with 100,000, I got like 69.5.
Good enough. So please don't get scared from choosing big multiplier. You can choose big multiplier, and you should. Otherwise, you are going to lose marks. So still, if your answer is coming up in decimal, so then what is the purpose of giving a multiplier? Right?
Ma'am, okay, ma'am.
G, Iraj.
Ma'am, for example, if the answer is 69.5 or 69.6,
Yes.
so can we round that off to 70?
Yeah. Now see, it is generally in books. Both of things, both of these concepts are there. You can round it off, or you can keep it as it is. So they are not going to mind. So till the time you have one whole figure with it, and apart from that, even if we have a little decimal with that, so that is okay. But this shouldn't be like 0.6, 0.069 new cases will occur per 100 population of.
Basically,
Okay, now we are 28. Anything that is not clear so far, so please you can ask me right now, because then we'll be moving on to our measures of mortality. Anything that you are not clear about? G, Dr. Fahim, you wanted to ask something?
मैम इंसिडेंस रेट की दोबारा जो है कैलकुलेशन बता दें.
Interpretation, okay. Say for example,
इंटरप्रिटेशन नहीं मैम, कैलकुलेशन.
Calculation, incidence rate, yeah. Numerator is going to be the same. In numerator, we are going to have new cases, right? And in the denominator, we need to have person time, right? Incidence rate, other term used generally for incidence rate is incidence density, okay? So person time, how do we calculate person time? We have population at risk. That is mid-year population that they have given us, that the estimated mid-year population is there. So we multiply that population with the time period. How much was the time period from 2009 to 2015?
6
How much?
6 years.
मैम ये 7 year नहीं होगा.
7 years.
So it's your choice. I knew that this thing will come up. Some people are going to consider they'll take a start from 2009 and then 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So generally it is taken as 6 because 9, when this 9 is going to be completed at 10, 10 is going to be 11 and so on. Okay. So generally we counted that way. Started from 2009. So when this one on day 1, we are not going to label that year is gone. When a year is finished at 2010, logically speaking, if we talk it like this, okay, from 2009 to 2010, we make 1 year. Then second year, third year, 4 and 5. So the most agreed upon answer is 6 years. So, but if somebody says and you multiply it with 7, and if you do all the calculations right, if your interpretation is right, so your answer is generally considered right. Okay. So with this 1 year, a little ambiguity in it. So this is how we calculate person time in the denominator. However, that person time should be there in the incidence density or incidence rate.
एक्सक्यूज मी मैम एक सवाल कर.
जी प्लीज.
मैडम मैंने ये पूछना था जो सेकेंडरी केसेस हैं हु हैज डेवलप्ड द डिजीज फ्रॉम अ प्राइमरी केस, तो वो भी तो प्राइमरी केस होगा ना दूसरे लोगों के लिए.
सॉरी कैन यू प्लीज रिपीट.
मैडम द सेकेंडरी केस बिकम अ प्राइमरी केस फॉर जो एट रिस्क हैं, वो भी तो प्राइमरी केस उनके लिए हो जाएगा ना.
दिस इज व्हाट इज द रिपल. Do you remember the word that was written as a ripple? What happens in a ripple? That there is one starting point and from that multiple layers are originating. So they might serve as primary cases for the others. So that is what is happening in contagious or communicability of the disease. We don't really stick to the primary case, but afterward there are multiple things which are going on. So what is happening exactly these days? What is happening in corona? There might be one individual bringing corona to the family, and there are other family members who are going to develop. So on the basis of this communicability, how do we get to know that how much the spread or the communicability of this particular disease is on the basis of this secondary attack rate? Okay. Right?
Okay.
मैम
जी डॉक्टर शबीर.
मैम जो हम लोगों ने मिड ईयर पॉपुलेशन ली, तो हम ईयर्स जो हैं वो जाहिर है ये हमें डिफरेंट जगह पे कंफ्यूज भी करेगा. सो मेरी जो इस पे थॉट थी वो ये थी कि फॉर एग्जांपल वी
a bit louder. I think if I'm unable to hear, so other people they are also not they might not be hearing. जी प्लीज.
अब ठीक है?
Yeah, it's better now.
ओके. मिड ईयर पॉपुलेशन सिंस हमने ली है, तो वो जो है वो 2009 का मिड ईयर विल एंड अप इन 2010 मिड ईयर. So ये 6 years बंद है.
Yeah, absolutely.
ये हम
absolutely.
कर सकते हैं
Or
अगर
even if we
हम
just count it on our fingers. So that is again, that is pretty simple. But yeah, it's a very valid point. Thank you. Okay, fine. So if we are all clear, thank you. Aruj is continuously showing up all her calculations to me, and this is just wonderful seeing it, Aruj. And I'll be learning from you this art of showing up the screen. How do you do that? Because there is no mirror image for that. Aruj, how do you do that?
Ma'am, actually, I'm online from 2 sources.
Sorry? You've opened 2 go. Oh,
Yes.
wonderful. Yeah, there are 2 Rouge icons with me. Now I can see. Okay, good enough. Now, thank you so much. This is just a wonderful thing, and you're so right in your calculations. Whatever you are calculating for me, I've seen that, and this is wonderful. Now, there's one more announcement that I have to make, that I'll be taking up your regular quiz, that the way I've taken it today, but they will be graded also. You might that might be a little today's numerical. It might have come like a surprise to you, but for in the next session, so I'm all allowed and I'm all eligible to take your quiz at any point. So I would urge all of you, and they'll be graded also, because they are online classes. So I don't know when we are going to meet physically and when we are going to have your evaluations on pen and paper and all that. So I need to create certain quizzes for you, and I'll take those quizzes and I'll grade you on the basis of that. And I'll be devising or thinking of a strategy for some assessments or assignments that I'll be giving to you, and then I'll be grading you on the basis of those assignments. Okay, so that's why I'm asking you again and again that if anything that is not clear to you, ask me today, ask me every time we meet, so that once you appear for your assessment or assignment, so there should be nothing that should be unclear to you. Okay, so I want all of you to come up with the maximum marks with the brilliant concepts also. There shouldn't be all the time these 6, 7, routine people, or the girls and, and a couple of male participants in this group, those who are very vigilant and they are very passionate. I can see that they are always coming up with the correct answer, that I at times get surprised that how come with this much number of sessions and they are able to come up and tell me the correct answer. So I really appreciate that. But I want all of you to be on your toes and to show the same passion towards the subject. And it's very interesting. The more you will get into that, more understanding you will get out of it. Try to keep Leon Goddess with you. Try to take notes while I'm telling you all the questions, because whatever I'm telling you, they are not all the time from the slides. Slides are there to keep me on the track, that I shouldn't be missing any content. But most of the things that I'm covering, they might be linked with your book. So please go through the book. Whatever I'm teaching, your Leon Goddess is, your reference book is your Leon Goddess. Okay. So all my sessions, they are prepared from Leon Goddess. My notes are prepared from my PowerPoint presentations. They are prepared from that. And whatever we practice, they are basically taken up from the previous exams from different university exams, from UHS, NUMS, and Qaid Azam University and all that. So you never know, at times we get similar questions in exams, so that might come as a treat for you, right? So with this, I think today we are going to finish it up here. And next time, inshallah, we'll take a start with measures of mortality. So I just wanted you to gear up in this session to give you a quick flashback of the previous concepts also, and to take you on board once again for this subject, and to take up your feedback for any concerns, any queries, anything that might not be clear to you. You can always ask me. And I do remember a couple of questions that Mariam Ishaq shared with me through Aruj. Just give me one day, or probably by tomorrow, I'll be sharing those calculations with your CR, and then she will share those calculations, and you can always see that where you went wrong. Okay. So with this, we'll finish up our today's meeting. जी वक्त जी.
मैम क्या 15 जुलाई तक हमारा कोर्स कंप्लीट हो जाएगा?
मैम क्वेश्चन
Who gave you that date?
दो सोर्सों से आ गई.
मैम के ऑनलाइन क्लासेस 15 जुलाई तक
मैं दो
मतलब
sources
कंटिन्यू
से आ गई,
रहेंगी.
एक यहाँ से और एक
तो
यहाँ से. तो मेरे यहाँ का
Yeah, no, but that is not a deadline for the curriculum to be finished. I think that is, and it's going to go on and on. It's not going to be finished. This is what I believe. Because the scenario that is around us, or the situation that is prevailing in the country as far as the new cases are concerned, or the severity of the disease is concerned, I don't think so that they are going to lift up all these things by 15th of July. I think this will move on. And even if it is not going on, 15 July is not a deadline for our course to be finished.
ओके मैम. और मैम आप अगर रिडल्स जो थे आपने बताए थे मैम, अगर आप कुछ और शेयर करती, क्योंकि बहुत सारे कंसेप्ट हैं जिसको हम मिस कर लेते और रिडल्स ने वापस कंसेप्ट क्लियर
Yeah,
हो
that's
जाता.
why I've kept recording. You know, this is it's a kind of a. We are supposed to take shorter sessions, like not anywhere in the country we have sessions like 3-hour sessions, or it's quite exhaustive.